Good evening, everyone. It's dark, but it's time. Tonight we're going to play a different series than usual, since we're waiting for Book 7 of Lone Wolf Definitive Edition. So we're going to play something different, as I said, but something quite similar as well. It's World of Lone Wolf by Ian Page and Joe Dever. So it's a kind of separate series from the Lone Wolf series, but in the same world with a different hero named Grey Star. And it's available free of charge on the website of projectaeon.org. If you want to play, you can right now. But let's start with a little backstory here of the coming of Grey Star. Ancient days they were when first the Shianti set foot upon the land that men called Magnamond. Long had they journeyed through the void, homeless wanderers in search of a place to call their own. And so it was that when the Shianti first looked upon the face of the land, their hearts were raised in wonder. They saw a world of nameless mountains, untamed forests, and lands both wild and free. Here they chose to cease their wanderings and to devote themselves to the study and appreciation of this newfound land. To the delight of the Shianti, the race of man first emerged at this time, and they watched his early struggle toward civilization with eager concern. Like gods, the Shianti seemed to the minds of primitive men. Tall and proud, shining with a radiance that spoke of magic and arcane mystery, the Shianti moved among them and with their powers of wizardry aided man in his development. As the centuries passed, men fell to worship of the magical Shianti, and the power of these wizards grew even stronger. With hungry hearts, they sought to unlock the mysteries of knowledge, sending their minds into other planes of existence and strange worlds beyond the sphere of the material plane. Their foresight was now unmatched, and the power of their thought was mighty indeed. It was at this time that they created the Moonstone. Woven of the very fabric of the astral plane of Dazyarn, this translucent gem was the greatest achievement of Shianti wisdom. It was the binding force of all Shianti magic, containing the combined might of all their wizardry, the sum of all their knowledge. The golden age of the Shianti had come, and the Moonstone was the instrument of their dominion throughout all Magnamon. Men stood as little more than a shadow, blinded by the shining white light of Shianti glory. But, in creating the Moonstone, the unwritten laws of nature had been transgressed. For the Moonstone, like the Shianti themselves, was something outside of man's own world. It defied the natural order laid down by the creators of Magnamond, and disrupted the balance that the gods had designed. The goddess Ishir, high priestess of the moon and mother of all men, showed herself to the Shianti and spoke to them of the destiny of man. The children of this world must claim their inheritance. Their time has come, and they must learn to stand alone. They are lost in their worship of you, and the day draws ever nearer when they will covet the power of the Moonstone. And the Shianti said, "Forgive us, great goddess, for we intended no harm. We love mankind even as you do. We have sought to do good and protect your children from harm." But Ishir replied, "Of this there can be no doubt, but this world is not your realm. Man must be free to pursue his destiny alone, and you must leave, for you trespass on his domain." The Shianti were filled with sorrow. They feared a return to the void and to their lonely wandering, and pleaded with Ishir that she might allow them to remain. Ishir was filled with pity for them. She spoke again, saying, "If you are to remain, you must obey my command. You must take a vow never to interfere with mankind's fate. As a token of good faith, you must lay aside the Moonstone and return it to the plane where it belongs." Solemnly, the Shianti agreed. The vow was sworn before Ishir, and the Moonstone was returned to the Dazyarn. The Shianti then moved south to the Isle of Lorne. They encircled their new home with a web of enchantments, magical mists, and mage winds to prevent men from ever finding their place of refuge in the Sea of Dreams. Knowledge of the Shianti faded with time, save in southern Magnamon, where it became enshrined in legend, and the worship of them endured. Priests of the Shianti religion preserved their teachings and patiently awaited the day when the ancient ones will return, bringing with them lasting peace and the blessing of a new golden age. 2,000 years strolled by and man advanced as Ishir had foretold. He built great cities and cultivated the land. His kingdoms rose and fell. He made war and loved and laughed and became master of his fate. But a new power was emerging in the province of Shadaki. There, Shazarak, the evil witch king, ruled. The black necromancer commanded an army of brutal soldiers and had a devoted following of men who upheld his religion of demonic worship and sacrificial rites. Devotees of the Shianti and other religious cults were persecuted in a merciless purge. Ruthlessly, the Witch King destroyed all his opponents and began a terrible war with the peoples of the neighboring provinces. From the ruins of war, Shazarak shaped the Shadakin Empire, subjugating all nations to his evil rule. As the provinces fell to his might, the Shianti looked on helplessly, bound by their vow to the goddess Ishir, never to interfere in the affairs of man. On the night of the crowning of Shazarak as overlord of the Shadakin Empire, a great storm broke upon the Sea of Dreams, a storm that raged with unnatural intensity. Lashed by wind and rain, illuminated by white lightning, the waters heaved and danced in fury to the thundering music of the storm, unchecked by even the enchantments of the Shianti. When finally the tempest died, the Shianti looked out in amazement on the shattered hull of a ship drifting towards their shore. Never before had this occurred, for the enchantments and mage winds had kept them secure from the curiosity of man by forcing him to sail close to his own land. The Shianti went quickly to the ruined ship, where they found only one survivor, a baby. They perceived the sudden arrival of this human child as a sign of great portent, and they conceived a plan by which they might lawfully aid mankind. They named the orphan child Grey Star, because a star is the symbol of hope in the Shianti faith, and because of the silver streak in the child's jet black hair. In the shadow of the wrath of the goddess Ishir, they raised the child as one of their own, and taught him their secrets. Diligently they set about their instruction, for their aim was to provide a savior for mankind. Armed with the might of Shianti wizardry and wisdom, their hope was to create an adversary equal in power to the evil Witch King of Shadaki, for they realized that only with the death of Shazarak will man once more be free to determine his destiny. And the story so far? You are a Grey Star, trained in the secret arts of Shianti wizard. 16 years have passed since you arrived on the Isle of Lorne, the hidden realm of the Shianti race, when you are called to a meeting of your Shianti masters. Grey Star, says Acarya, High Wizard of the Shianti, you have been summoned to this meeting so that we may lay before you a quest of great importance. Your people, the race of man, are slaves of an evil tyrant, Shazarak the Witch King of Shadaki. He has made pacts with demons and has captured the spirits of the dead, who do his bidding as undead slaves. He has the power to control the minds of men. No one can resist him, and the land of your birth cries out in fear of the cruel hand that crushes its heart. No power remains intact to challenge the might of the Witch King. Our ancient vow to the goddess Ishir forbids us from intervening in the fate of man, and the Moonstone now lies hidden on another plane. We have taught you the ways of Shianti magic in the hope that one day you will take up its quest. Recover the Moonstone and use its power to destroy the Witch King. You are human, Now vow prohibits you from leaving the Isle of Lorne. Nor are you forbidden to aid mankind in any way you choose. No charge is laid upon you to accept the quest. Yet, if you refuse, your people will be doomed to a choice between slavery and destruction at the hands of the Witch King of Shadaki. Bravely and without hesitation, you give Acarya your decision, but your voice trembles as you speak. I accept the quest of the Moonstone. What must I do? There are sighs of relief all around. You have made us proud this day, son of man, says Acarya, smiling. The Moonstone lies hidden in the Dacian plain, which can only be entered by locating its portal. We know this can be found in the lands of men. It is called the Shadow Gate. However, it rarely remains in any one location for more than a day, and is visible to human sight. Invisible to human sight. For this reason, you must seek out the lost tribe of Lara, a race of primitive but magical creatures we call the Kundi. They possess the gift of astral vision, which enables them to see the Shadow Gate. Once, long ago, the Kundi inhabited the forests and mountains of Lara. Before the Shadakin army invaded the free provinces of the south, they passed through the mountains of Lara, using the Morn Pass. There, the Shadakin army were frequently ambushed and delayed by the Kundi. We always disappeared into the safety of the forests before the Shadakin could retaliate. Finally, in desperation, the Witch King burned the forest, and the Kundi were forced to flee. To this day, no one is sure where the Kundi went, and consequently men refer to them as the Lost Tribe of Lara. Your first task is to find the Lost Tribe, and persuade them to guide you to the Shadow Gate. Your training is incomplete, but you must begin without delay. The Shadakin Empire now stretches to the very shores of the Sea of Dreams, and the power of the Witch King grows with each passing day. Our presence is known to him, and his attention is often turned towards us, probing our defenses and testing the measure of our powers. He is hungry for new conquests, and though he fears us, the day is sure to come when he will cross the Sea of Dreams, challenge the Shianti. Acarya places his hands upon your shoulders and looks deeply into your eyes. The fate of humanity and of the Shianti depends on the success of your quest. Find the Moonstone, Grey Star. You are our only hope. If you fail, then all is lost. So the game rules are a little different in Lone Wolf. They still have combat skill and endurance, but they add a new stat, willpower. So we'll go over a little bit of the rules, but as usual I did the character creation beforehand to save time. So about the game rules, you must discover our Shianti Master combat skill and state of mind, which is the willpower, and physical stamina, the endurance. We had to roll our stats since it's the first book. I did that beforehand, so I rolled a 10, which is a 0 actually in the book. So we add 10 to that. That means 10 plus 0, 10 combat skill. The willpower I rolled a 5 for a total of 20 plus 5, 25. And endurance points I rolled a 7 for 20 plus 7 for a total of 27. That's the stats. In the case of endurance points, if it falls to 0, you die. For the willpower, it's used when we're when we're using our magics, and also the wizard staff. It can reach 0 without any problem. And it can go over the maximum at the start compared to the endurance ones. It can never go above the initial score of 27. Except for sure other bonuses that could come from gear and stuff like that. Those are the stats for the whole campaign, the 4 adventures. The magical powers, at the beginning we have to choose 5 lesser magics or magical powers. As said, I've done all this beforehand, but if anyone has any kind of suggestion to take something different than the 5 that I've picked, please feel free to say so. I'll go over the 7 magical powers that are available at the start. The first one is sorcery. It's a power that allows a wizard to transform his thoughts or desires into magical energy. By concentration of the will, it is possible to create magical shields of force to bar doors or move objects. Sorcery drains more willpower points than any other magical power, and is most effective when your willpower points are high. Enchantment. It enables a wizard to charm or beguile other creatures and create illusions in the minds of others. He will be able to extract information from others, place thoughts and compulsions into another's mind, or cause them to believe that imaginary events are actually taking place. Some magical or highly intelligent beings may be immune to the powers of enchantment. Elementalism. It's the power of elemental magic that allows a wizard some control over the natural elements of air, fire, earth, and water. By entering a trance and chanting incantations, you may summon aid from the spirits of the elemental plane. Elementals have very little understanding of man, and for this reason a wizard can never be sure of the nature of the aid the elementals may send. Alchemy. A wizard who possesses the power of alchemy is able, through the mixing of various substances, to create magical potions. Given the correct ingredients, a potion may restore lost energy, either endurance points or willpower points, or temporarily improve various abilities like combat skill. The use of alchemy may also allow a wizard to alter the nature of substances, like changing lead into gold, but the necessary ingredients and the correct equipment, like a pestle and mortar, must be at hand. The use of the power of alchemy drains no willpower. It's kind of pseudoscience. Prophecy. The power of prophecy allows a wizard to foretell the future through meditation. A meditative state will allow a wizard to make the correct decision when facing conflicting choices or difficult actions, to discover the whereabouts of a person he has once met or an object he has once seen. It may also allow him to determine the true nature of a stranger or a strange object. Magical beings or objects are sometimes hidden from the power of prophecy. Psychomancy. This power bestows upon a wizard the ability to deduce facts about events by touching objects connected to them. Through deep concentration, a wizard may lay his hands upon any inanimate object and visualize scenes that have affected it. Visions brought about through the use of psychomancy are often cryptic, taking the form of a riddle or puzzle. Some magic items are resistant to the use of psychomancy and may sometimes impart misleading information. Finally, evocation. Mastery of this power permits contact with the spirit realm. A wizard wishing to speak with the dead or to call up a form from the spirit world must draw a magic pentacle and enter a trance. When the use of the correct spell chant will reach out to the spiritual plane. Standing within the protection of a magic pentacle, a wizard may consider himself to be relatively safe from harm. If he wishes to speak with a corpse, especially one from whose former life was good and righteous, then a wizard can expect help and advice. However, contact with those whose former lives were evil or selfish can be a perilous and often fatal experience. Evil spirits are reluctant to return to the realm of the dead and may try to trick a wizard into freeing them into the world of the living. All spirits, good and evil, will require some service of the wizard in return for their aid. Any failure to perform this task, however difficult, may result in the wizard losing his life. So those are the 7 powers, and the 5 I took beforehand are psychomancy, to be able to deduce facts and get informations by kind of sixth sense. Sounds really like the sixth sense in Lone Wolf, actually. Sorcery. which sounds like the basic or the most powerful kind of power available at start. Enchantment to charm other creatures. Elementalisms for the control of pure elemental magic. And evocation for the capability to talk with dead and stuff like that. So the two lesser magics that I've left aside are alchemy, since I don't really like consumables and it's not really a magic anyway. And the other one is prophecy, because knowing the future isn't always a sure science, and well, didn't sound as much useful, but we'll see later. So if anyone has any other ideas about that, I can make some changes before starting. Meanwhile, there's a little paragraph about the wizard staff. So your staff is your most valuable possession. It looks and feels like an ordinary quarterstaff, yet it is stronger than any known metal. This is your main combat weapon, for you are untrained in the use of any other form of armed combat. It contains a potent force that is unleashed at will by the power of your mind, and causes a beam of destructive power to hurtle from its tip. Every time you unleash this power, you must deduct 1 willpower point. In the event that your enemy survives such an attack, or should you fall victim to a surprise attack, you will be forced to engage in close combat and must attempt to strike your enemy with the staff. If your attack is successful, a bolt of energy will be released from the staff that is capable of inflicting great physical harm. If you wish to increase the amount of damage that you inflict in this way, you must use more willpower points and multiply the number of endurance points lost by the enemy accordingly. For example, if you choose to expend 3 willpower points on your attack, all enemy endurance point losses will be multiplied by 3. So, which means if the enemy lose basically 6 endurance points, they lose 18 instead, with 3 willpower points. But I'm not sure if willpower will come back easily, so we'll see. If you enter combat without your staff, you need to deduct 6 points from your combat skill, and if you have no weapon at all, you must deduct 8 points from your combat skill. We're quite far from the 28 combat skill we had in the last book of Lone Wolf, but see how it goes. For the starting equipment, you wear the grey robe and hooded cloak of Shianti Wizard. Your only weapon is your wizard staff. You wear a backpack containing 4 meals. I've used here the section for the higher magics, since I don't have the second sheet of the action chart. So I'm using the higher magics for the special items, and the herb pouch for the backpacks, since the herb pouch is required only for the alchemy that I don't have right now in lesser magics. And so all backpack items will be in the herb pouch. There are 8 backpack items though, contrarily to the 6 articles in the herb pouch. So 4 meals to start out, and a map of the Shadikin Empire that is under the special items over here. And we'll be able to reference the map sometimes during play, as usual. If you have chosen alchemy, nope. So no herb pouch. Actually, here it says that the herb pouch is 8 items as well, so I don't know why it's 6 in later books. Anyway, we don't have that. Also, on your last day on the Isle of Lorne, your Shianti masters offer you the following gifts to aid you in your quest. According to Shianti custom, you may choose one of them. They are a jewel dagger. It's a special item for +1 to your combat skill when using combat. So if we lose or we can't use our wizard staff, we will be able to use jewel mace, not mace, it's in another game. The jewel dagger actually, for +1 combat skill and a total of 11. 10% increase in combat skill on a really poor combat skill. didn't sound really useful to me. Otherwise, there's the Magic Talisman, another special item which gives +2 willpower, which would put us at 27 willpower. Take the Magic Talisman. And the other option is a Vial of Flumspur, which is a backpack item, and restores 4 endurance points to your total when swallowed after a combat. There's enough for only one dose, but usually we can find potions of Flumspur quite often in Lone Wolf books, so it doesn't sound like a very special item. In all three, I thought that the Magic Talisman was the most useful one for 2 extra willpower. But if someone else have other arguments, I'm ready to hear them. For carrying equipment, it's the same as in the Lone Wolf series. And the quantity of stuff you can carry is the same as well. And we don't have any gold crowns in this campaign. It's called Nobles. And anywhere it says that we have nobles at start, so 0 nobles, 4 meals in a backpack. That's pretty much all we have with a special item and a wizard staff. Food is carried in a backpack. Each meal is 1 item as usual. And the rest is the same as in Lone Wolf. Rules for combat. It's the same, I think. Calculate your current combat skills, subtract. Yep, the same thing, except if we are using our wizard staff in a fight, we need to decide how many willpower points will be used by the staff and deduct that number of willpower points from our willpower points, the extra column in the combat record. So that's pretty much the only difference. Here's an example of a fight. Grey Star with a combat skill of 15 and a willpower of 23 is ambushed by a Death Gaunt, combat skill 20. He's not given the opportunity to evade combat, but can use his wizard staff against the creature as it swoops down on him. He subtracts the Death Gaunt's combat skill from his own, giving a combat ratio of -5. 15 minus 20 equal -5. -5 is noted on the action chart in the combat ratio over here. Grey Star decides to use 2 willpower points, which is noted on the willpower box of the combat record. I guess we wrote down 2 here instead of the 25. When you have decided upon the number of willpower points, that's when we pick a random number with the D10 instead of the random number table. And it gives the result. Should open a different tab for the combat results table. Looks like the same as the one as in Lone Wolf, or quite similar, if not. And the result will give the number of endurance points lost by Grey Star and the enemy. And the number lost by the enemy is multiplied by the number of willpower points used before end. It's kind of a gamble as well, since we don't know if we're going to make a lot of damage. Depending on the combat ratio, we can do 0 to insta-death. So, depends really on the combat ratio, actually, how many willpower points are useful in a fight. So that will be to determine for each combat. That's pretty much the only difference in regards to Lone Wolf combat rules. As for the homebrew rules for this adventure, they are the same as Lone Wolf. If we die in the adventure, I will go back to a previous choice and take another one. And if we die again, I will go back again, take another choice. If there are no more available choices, we'll go back on the previous choice and take different ones until no choices are available anymore. If we die in a fight, I'm going to take the flee option instead if there's one. If there are no flee options, I'll try to go back to a previous choice. If there are no previous choices available and the fight is certainty, then I will simply go through the fight as if we have won, so as to not play this game tomorrow morning with a combat skill of 10. It might happen. We don't know. So before starting out, a sage advice instead of little Kai wisdom. You're about to embark on a quest of great peril, for your journey will take you to an unknown land that is dominated by evil. Refer to the map and make notes as you progress through the story. They're sure to be of great help to you in future adventures. You will discover items that could be of help to you on your quest. Some special items may aid you in future Grey Star adventures. Others may be red herrings of no real use at all, so be selective in what you decide to keep. Be cautious in your use of willpower points, as your willpower is the energy source for your magical powers and your wizard staff. A willpower score of 0 or below will leave you weak and vulnerable to attack, unable to offer effective resistance. Follow the path of wisdom, Wizard Grey Star. The way of fools is the road to destruction. Good luck. Section number 1. Grey Star the Wizard. It is a grim, chill morning, your last on the Isle of Lorne. With quaking heart, you enter the secret temple of Amida to receive the silent blessing of your Shianti masters. They stand around you, heads bowed in meditation. At length the ceremony ends, and Meteia, your old friend and teacher, steps forward and grasps you firmly by the shoulders. You look into his glittering eyes and see yourself reflected there, for the eyes of the Shianti race are not colored like men's, but have pupils that cast reflections like mirrored glass. Grey Star, he says, a warm smile lighting his serene face. The time has come for you to leave. Far will you travel, and perilous is your course. Be not afraid, yet do not fear caution. Though you go with the teaching and blessing of the Shianti, and carry the might of the wizard staff, stealth and secrecy will be your allies. Let not courage defeat wisdom. Go now and seek the Kundi race that is called the Lost Tribe of Lara. You are the instrument of our will, bearer of our hope. Ever will your quest be in our minds and hearts. Without a word, you turn and leave the temple, not looking back until you reach the shore, where a sailboat awaits you. With a gentle sigh, you bid farewell to the island of your youth, and push the little craft into the cold waters of the Sea of Dreams. You jump into the boat and set sail, making a westward course for the distant mainland of the Shadakin Empire. If you have the magical power of elementalism, and wish to use it to aid your voyage, or if we don't possess this power or don't want to use it, we can save our willpower points. We do have elementalism. I think it will use willpower points. I'm just going to check if it's the case. Yeah, it's using willpower points. So it's kind of a good luck charm. I missed it because it's the beginning of the game and we are already spending willpower points on the first section. But it would be bad. Fail right at the beginning, actually. And we have 2 gold ears. So let's try spending 1 willpower point here. And see how it will go. Stand up in the boat, close your eyes, and with your hands raised, you enter the required trance state with practice ease, chanting in the secret language of the elementals and sending out the power of your thought to the elemental plane. A few moments pass. The breeze begins to lift and the sail fills. You open your eyes and smile with satisfaction. All around are the fleeting forms of wind sprites, or elementals sent to hasten your voyage. Then a sudden gust of wind appears out of nowhere, and the little boat lurches forward, throwing you to the deck. With a whoop of delight, a gale wraith has thrown itself into the taut sail and is propelling the boat forward with great force. I think thee, powers of the air, shout with joyous courtesy, struggling to sit up in the boat to steer on the right course. The spell has been successful and required little power. Deduct 1 point from your willpower total. The sun has begun to set far ahead of you, heading west. You sight a small group of fishing boats. You see growing numbers of these craft as you continue on your way, occasionally spotting larger seagoing vessels. Then your heart gives a leap of joy. You can make out the distant shape of a coastline and a harbor full of hundreds of fishing boats and sail ships. In the orange glow of the setting sun, the domes and spires of a city point challengingly towards the sky. This is the port of Sun, the first city you have ever seen. Isle of Lorne here, port of Sun. Alright. Well, first leg of the journey is done, thanks to the elementals. So if you wish to enter the port before nightfall, or we can wait for the darkness to descend. Is it part of the Shadek Empire though? Shadek Empire is over there. I think it is. The old map. Part of the Shadek Empire. So I think we should be cautious here and enter by the cover of the darkness. Even if I don't think we have any kind of way to see in the dark. Anyway. Let's try this. City most often illuminated during the night. So the harbor is full with ships of varying kinds, though there is little sign of life. Mooring the small boat, you step onto the stone quay side and survey the harbor area. Psst. A voice hisses at you from out of the darkness. Startled, you spot the crouching form of a one-eyed Sunnese fisherman. Comme va-vous? He asked patronizingly. And such a greasy too! Got something to hide, have we? Lurking out there at the edge of the bay in nightfall? It's very suspicious. In vain, you try to convince the one-eyed Sunaman that you have nothing to hide. So you sail a long way off. He sneers. Perhaps you're a smuggler on the run. I'll be bound. Come now, young master, you can fool me. What you offer to buy my silence? I guess we're not lone wolf with his stealth skill, that kind of sucks. With a helpless shrug, you tell him that you have no money. Which is true. At first, the fisherman seems very angry, but eventually offers to buy your boat for 20 nobles. Though you cannot be sure that this will keep him quiet. If you have the magical power of prophecy and wish to use it, kind of cheap using prophecy just to see if this man is a crook or not. But we don't have it anyway. Otherwise, we can sell the boat for 20 nobles or not sell the boat and continue our ride. I mean, what use can we have of the boat? Should we go back home at the end of the adventure. Not really our goal, or we'll swim or whatever. Water elementals, go for it. I think we have no money, 20 nobles. It's a good price. Don't know anything about the prices of this place, but we have 0, so. $20 doubles free for a boat that isn't even written on the action chart anyway. When you agree to the paltry price of 20 nobles, the old man brightens visibly. He hands you the 20 jade stones, and you place them in the pocket of your robe. Try to coax for some information from him and ask about the Legion of the Lost Tribe of Lara. However, he is reluctant to talk, looking away from you and shifting uneasily from one foot to the other, seemingly anxious to be gone. Try the Inn of the Laughing Moon at the end of yonder street, he mutters finally. You'll find plenty of travelers all there. Following the direction of his finger, you see a dark, narrow street leading from the Arbor area. When you turn back to face him, find that you are alone. The old man has disappeared into the night. You can either enter the narrow street or simply explore the Arbor front. I guess that the narrow street is the street for the inn. But we could explore the Arbor front before going somewhere else. Just in case. Looking for trouble, I guess. I should write down all the sections as well. One, two, 140. 20. 16 sell the boat. And 100 for the Arbor front. Here we go. You have been prowling around the Arbor for some time. So far all you have discovered are closed buildings and shifty strangers passing in and out of the shadows, carrying mysterious loads. You spot 2 soldiers patrolling the waterfront. Their heads are shaven save for a long plume of hair that flows from the center of their scalps. They wear armor of black enameled steel, decorated with gold designs, and carry little-looking scimitars at their sides. They are Shadakin warriors, and they are shouting at you to remain where you are. Okay. We can try to either run away, or obey the Shadakin warriors. I guess they sound like guards. So maybe if we obey them and pay them 20 doubles, they will let us go away. I think we're not ready yet to steer trouble here. Two Shadakin warriors stand before you. What are you doing lurking around here? Asked one, prodding your chest with his fingers. You fumble for some excuse, observing that the Shadakin's eyes are completely white. They have no pupils. You try to persuade the 2 soldiers that you are a local fisherman, but they are deeply suspicious of your story and appearance and arrest you on the spot. Good job, Greystar. Can either resist the arrest by attacking the Shadakin, or not reveal our powers and purpose at this time. Which is wise, I think. Anyway, we only have food, 20 nobles, and a staff to lose. But we can just say that we have a traveler staff, I guess. But since it looks like a quarter staff, they might seize the staff. Sounds kind of bad. I don't really want to lose my wizard staff, really. But do I want to fight people in the middle of the street? Ugh, sounds bad. Let's go with the guards. You raise your arms in a gesture of surrender and are immediately seized and led away. Your wizard staff and backpack are taken from you and your hands are tied behind your back. Keep note of your backpack items in case you should find your backpack again later. I hope so. You are frog marched through the city and taken to a large blackstone citadel called the Hall of Correction, where, despite your pleas of innocence, you are unceremoniously dumped. You can tell your story to Mother Magri now, stranger, rolls one of the Shadakin. The test of truth will sort you out soon enough. Roughly, you are pushed up a long flight of stone stairs and into a small bare antechamber. An old woman sits at a wooden table. In front of her is a crystal ball, glowing with a dim yellow light. Sit, child, says the old woman, gesturing to the chair opposite. I'm Mother Magri, seer of the Kazim Stone, lawgiver of the city of Sun, truthsayer of Shadaki, in the service of the Witch King Shazarak. The old crone peers at you with hypnotic eyes. Look into the chasm stone, boy, she commands, that the truth may be revealed. Unable to resist, your eyes are drawn by the power of the stone as it shines brightly, filling the chamber with a lurid yellow glow. With a gasp of horror, you feel fiery fingers reach into your mind and clutch at your will. Your mind is being read by a potent magical force. If your current willpower score is less than 15, it's not the case. So it's 15 or more. You have power, young stranger, murmurs Mother Magri. I sense some wizardry in you. How came this to be, I wonder? Whom do you serve? If you do not resist the power of the Chasm Stone, your quest and its origin will be revealed to the servant of the Witch King. If you have the power of sorcery and wish to use it to destroy the Chasm Stone, or if you have the power of sorcery and wish to use it to try to shield your mind from the probing power of the stone, or simply resist the power of the stone with sheer willpower. I think sorcery is required here, so we either destroy the stone or shield our mind. I think, I like all good animes that are where the hero is sent to another world. They always destroy the power stone, reading our mind and trying to assess our power. And it always goes well afterwards, so I think it's a safe bet here. We should go the way of the isekai and simply destroy the stone. Concentrating your will, you tap the raw energy of sorcery from the astral plane and form it into a ball of pure thought, holding it poised in your mind, ready to hurl into the chasm stone. We can draw 2, 3, or 4 willpower. Let's go all in, be impressive. 4 willpower. Thing will just blow in our face. You fling the energy ball at the chasm stone. I didn't know it was so visually obvious, actually. The cost of propelling this thought of mass cost an extra 2 willpower points, so thanks for the misleading information. Damn. There is a tremendous flash as the two forces clash and the energy envelops the stone. White light fills the room, momentarily blinding you. Unless they mean it costs 2 plus 2. Yeah, I think that's what they mean, because the 3 willpower points is actually an additional willpower point. So it's 2 plus 1. Okay. There's the tremendous flash as the two forces clash and the energy envelops the stone. White light fills the room, momentarily blinding you. To the amazement of Mother Magri, the light of the chasm stone is suddenly snuffed out. You slump forward, exhausted by your exertions, and Mother Magri jumps to her feet, howling curses and abuse. "You dare to resist!" she screams. "Guards, throw this one into the dungeons! It seems that sterner measures are needed to wring the truth from our fledgling wizard." And she smiles wickedly. You have exerted 4 willpower points and 4 endurance points. This duel with the chasm stone. Damn. Maybe it was a bit too much. Senseless with exhaustion, you are dragged forcibly from the chamber, down long flights of stairs and into the darkness of the dungeons of the Hall of Correction. Your senses rail against the ominous and overpowering feeling of oppression that seems imbued into the walls of the place. A tortured scream fills the air, followed by the sound of brutal laughter. "What was that?" you whisper hoarsely. "You'll find out soon enough," one of the Shadakin replies. "Jailer, lock this one up!" A tattered cripple lurches towards you, a large bunch of keys rattling at his side. "Here, Master Turkey, lock him up nice and safe now." The jailer leans forward, a mad and joyous expression on his face. "Marvelous, simply marvelous," he giggles. "Another guest? How wonderful to meet you!" An iron-shut door is unlocked and you are thrown into a dark and foul-smelling pit. You fall headlong down a flight of steps and lose consciousness before coming to rest on the straw-covered floor. If you have been arrested at the Inn of the Laughing Moon, we didn't go there. We've been caught before that. You wake and raise your body slowly, your head is pounding and your vision is blurred. Realization of your terrible plight comes flooding back, and you look around you. In the corner sits a hunched and groaning figure dressed in furs and gaudy robes now stained with dirt. He sits with his hands clasped over his pot belly. "Welcome," he says sardonically. You talk to the little man and he tells you about himself. His name is Shan Li, a trader familiar with all parts of the Shadakin Empire and many strange lands beyond. He is a harmless merchant, arrested a few hours ago while in the middle of a drunken reverie in an establishment called the Inn of the Laughing Moon, a popular watering hole for travelers and strangers to the port of Sun. The only other occupant of the cell is a sick old man who lies barely moving upon a wooden pallet. Your wizard staff and backpack have been taken from you, but you still possess any items not carried in the backpack, like the magic talisman, and I guess the map of the Shadakin Empire. Shan turns towards you. "Innocent? I'm innocent of any crime, save the possession of a loud voice and the consumption of too much ale. It is said that those who enter the Hall of Correction are never seen again. Surely they will not leave us to rot in Tizel Hall. Whatever am I to do?" You talk with the merchant for some time, discovering many stories about the lost tribe of Lara, of their flight into the Shuri Mountains, and the legend of their pilgrimage beyond the Kashima Mountains, into the unknown valley and the forest of Fernmost. You find yourself growing to like this little man with his dry humor and ironic quips. "I'll guide you anywhere you want to go, if you can get us out of here," he says, all joking, but he can see by the look in your eyes that you take his offer seriously. And that really badly written here. And to escape is not an impossible dream. A young girl brings 3 balls of rice and lingers for a while to stare at you through the iron grille of the door. You thank the girl kindly for this simple act. Blessed is the giver, richer through the giving of a gift, you say, according to the old Shianti custom. Startled, the young girl disappears. You go over to the old man, who is obviously dying, and offer him some food. 20 years, he rants, gripping your arm. 20 years I've been here for no crime at all. Soon I will die. Sadly, you learn that the old man was once a Shianti priest, a worshipper of the memory of your Shianti masters, imprisoned for his religion and for keeping alive the memory of the Shianti. If you have some lom spur and wish to ease the old man's suffering, we don't. Anyway, we lost our backpack, so we don't have any lom spur if we had. Sounds impossible to me. Anyway, we don't have any lom spur, so let's let the old man die, I guess. The old Shianti priest is about to speak when he gives a great gasp and dies in your arms. There we go. With tears in your eyes, you turn to Shan. He's dead, you say sorrowfully. The merchant hangs his head. Then we are doomed, he groans. You sit back, deep in thought. You're tired and quickly fall asleep. Your sad and troubled mind is further disturbed by the death of the priest, and your sleep is plagued with nightmares of torture and persecution. That's quite a fun paragraph there. With heavy heart you greet the dawn. The old Shianti priest lies dead upon his pallet. After a short time, the young girl who brought you food appears. Here, eat, she says, poking another bowl of rice through the bars of the dungeon door. The old priest, you say, pointing to his body, is dead. The girl glances towards the old man. I will tell Mother Magri, perhaps she will want to steal his soul while it still lingers here, she says matter-of-factly. He was a silly priest, he deserved to die, but perhaps my mistress can put him to some useful task. You and Shen stare at her, stunned at the coolness of her tone and the casual way in which she dismisses the torment of a man's soul. She stares back, unconcerned. Her face is a picture of childish innocence, and she seems unaware that she has said anything shocking. Two options: we can try to talk with the girl, or not. She's kind of talkative, I guess. A bit blunt. But why not? We're still at the phase to gather information from a cell, but will work somehow. You learn that the girl's name is Tanith. She is a novice in the ways of witchcraft and is in the service of Mother Magri, her protector and guardian. She is very beautiful and has a long, dark, unkempt hair and wild green eyes. They say that you are a wizard and that you challenge the truth say of the Chasm Stone, she says curiously. Of course, you reply a little boastfully, wishing to impress this ragged but winsome creature. That is very bad, she says, shaking her head. Mother Magri will have you tortured. The ways of the Shadaki are very cruel. Tonight, you will be taken to the Darkling Room, and you will experience great pain and terror. Then, I must escape this place, you say fearfully. Can you help me? Tanith gazes at you, a frightened expression on her face. No, no, the danger! I cannot, I dare not! She takes a dried flower from the pocket of her dress and sprinkles its powder petals into your food. This will help fortify you before your ordeal, she explains, her voice trembling. I can do no more. She jumps to her feet. I'm sorry. She falters a longing note in her voice, and then she disappears. I can't believe we asked the girl that brings our food to our cell to help us get out. Sounds crazy to me. You know that there's no time to lose. Though you do not have your wizard staff, you must make your escape. Hastily, you finish your bowl of rice containing the powder petals. Restore 1 willpower and 3 endurance. Oh, nice. And try to conceive a plan that will secure your freedom. We can try to sleep in order to build up our strength, or not. By not sleeping, will we find a better plan? I'm not sure about this. Should simply gather strength. When you waken, night is falling. Your rest has greatly refreshed you. Restore 1 endurance points, so we're back at full. And 1 willpower point. Almost back at full. Minus the magic talisman. It is clear that you will have to use one of your magical powers if you are to escape the tortures of the Darkling Room. Carefully, you weigh in your mind which of your powers will best affect your escape. Calmly, you sift through these powers and the extent of your mastery of them to determine the most effective choice. You make your decision, and there's a note there. You're forced to choose to use a magical power, even though all the powers that are available to you may require you to use more willpower points than you currently possess. If you do not have sufficient willpower points, you may choose to simply subtract the number of willpower points required to use the power you select. It may leave you with a negative willpower score. Or if it was already negative, it will make your score become even more negative. Okay. Alternatively, you may choose the method used in section 175 of War of the Wizard, which is book number 4 of this campaign. For resolving this problem, for the willpower points you lack, you use endurance points at the rate of, I guess I will go negative willpower. But I doubt we're going to use 24 willpower points really. So, we can use sorcery, enchantment, elementalism, alchemy, psychomancy, prophecy, or evocation. So all the powers are there. Okay, we're stuck in a cell with Shanli. Sorcery. So I've made a note. All the powers as a reminder. So sorcery. Create magical shields of force to bar doors and move objects. Maybe we'll be able to. The doors or the lock. Pick the lock or sorcery, maybe. Enchantment. There are no creatures or illusions unless we wait for guards to come and take over their mind. Elementalism might work. Can do pretty much anything. Don't have alchemy, neither prophet. Psychomancy. I'm not sure how it will help here. Maybe by finding a secret passage in the cell. And evocation, an evil spirit. Elementalism sounds like the better plan here. And it served us well at the beginning. Try out elementalism. With earth, I guess. Could work fine. You decide to look for aid on the elemental plane. You drift into a trance and begin to chant, meditating on your need and hoping that the elemental spirits will understand the nature of your predicament. The chant over, you wait. At first, all is quiet and you fear that you have failed. Then a rumbling noise echoes below your feet, and a shuddering tremor makes you stumble. Stand by the wall, away from the center of the cell. You warn Shan. A large crack appears in the ground, widening to a great hole as the head and shoulders of an hurt giant smash through the floor. You view the gnarled features of the elemental in his rough mottled skin of clay with fear and apprehension. Earth giants are the most stupid of elementals. and you doubt if this one will be able to understand fully your needs.
Escape?
Says the Earth Giant in a stony voice. Yes, escape, you say eagerly.
Tunnel, wizard, follow, Earth is safe, no danger, come.
The vast head disappears, leaving a great chasm in the ground. Quickly, Shan, follow me, you say, jumping into the open ground. Shan jumps into the darkness behind you, and you follow the Earth Giant as it burrows a tunnel, pushing with its great shoulders and clawing at the dirt. Didn't say how many willpower points it cost us yet. I guess we'll see later down the road. Suddenly, the giant bursts into a vast cavern, dark with filthy black mud.
Then make tunnel here. You go up, me go down now. Goodbye.
With these words, the Earth Giant descends into the ground, the floor rippling to cover his descent as he burrows out of sight. The use of this magical powers costs you 1 willpower point. You and Shan stand alone in the gloomy cavern, a vague feeling of disquiet stirring in your heart. Inexplicably, the brooding fear that lurks within you is rising uncontrollably. Shan is shaking, his face panic-stricken. Gingerly, you step through the soft mud of the quagmire. The air smells pungently sweet, a cloying odor that is hard to identify. You cannot escape the feeling that there is someone or something else in the cavern, but it is difficult to see in the eerie darkness. The sucking ooze pulls at your feet, and in the distance you see a faint light from another passage on the far side of the cavern. "Gleestal!" shrieks Shan, looking down, his eyes wide with terror, for the muddy cavern floor is comprised of hundreds upon hundreds of corpses, piled high upon each other to form a ghastly mire. Shan is screaming hysterically, but before you can calm him, the aura and spirit of this awful place overwhelms your mind, filling it with nightmarish visions. You are in the darkling room of Mother Magri. Oh, yes, right. And you must combat its fear if you are ever to leave. Add together your willpower and endurance points and use this total as your mental combat skill to be pitted against the combat skill of the Darkling Room. The Darkling Room has a combat skill of 28 and an endurance of 30. So we have 50. 23 plus 27 against 28. It's a plus 22 combat ratio. That's crazy. Yeah, it's a mental fight. We're fine. There's a note there that I will need to read before starting the fight. Note from Project Aeon. We're at 27. Okay, we're fine. So the note here is there are numerous unanswered questions with this combat. The addition of willpower and endurance is straightforward, but which attribute do you lower when wounded in this mental combat? A mental combat will suggest that you will lose willpower, as this is the measure of your mental strength. It is possible to have a negative willpower score, which will mean that the combat will only come to an end when the Darkling Room's endurance was lowered to 0. Using your true endurance score is the less paradoxical route. In either case, if your willpower endurance score is lowered during a round of combat, do you then adjust your combined willpower and endurance score, which is serving as your combat skill for this combat? There are no easy answers to these questions. It is up to the reader to decide which solution is most appropriate. It's like I'm back with Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition rules here. So, the Game Master must decide. combat skill, then it's a mental fight. I think it's... I know that we can die if the willpower score is lowered, but it will impede us for the rest of the adventure. So I don't see how we can lose this fight, but we can exit the fight more mentally wounded than before. I think it's the proper route here. So first fight of the night, a mental fight. We didn't have that in Lone Wolf. But a plus 22 combat ratio, actually we need roll. 8 or more to instantly kill the dark room or win against the dark room, I guess. So 8 or more, but pretty much any kind of roll is a good roll. There we go. 5. For 5 with plus 11 or greater is 1 against 14. Second round. 6. It's 1 against 16, and the dark room is down for the count. We lost only 2 endurance points. Suddenly, the raging assault of the darkling room is silenced. Oh, not endurance points, but willpower points. In regard to what I said before. It's a mental fight. Suddenly, the raging assault of the darkling room is silent. You grab Shan, who is kneeling in the mud beside you, and drag him towards the far passage, anxious to leave before the darkling room can muster another attack. You stumble into a long, winding passage and run for all you are worth. You're running down a long winding passage. There are many doors leading from the corridor, but you have no way of knowing which to open. You look ahead and a chill runs down your spine. At the far end of the passage, you see someone approaching, wielding a tall staff. Not Mother Magri. Oh, it is Tanith, the girl in the service of Mother Magri. She is carrying your wizard staff and backpack. Gristar! She calls, I found you at last! Well trapped! Shouts Shan. At the other end of the passage, you can hear the echo of running feet and the rasping voice of Mother Magri, ordering her Shadikin warriors to find you. The two options are kind of strange. We can either attack the young girl, or persuade her to relinquish the staff and backpack and let you pass. But she seems to be bringing our stuff to us, so I don't really understand why we will be attacking the young girl. It's kind of crazy to me. So let's persuade her to do what she was doing already anyway, I guess. Here, she says. They are both yours if you promise to take me with you. I know the secret ways out of here. I will lead you. Glaistal, says Shan, be on your guard. This witch is a Shadakin slave. How can we trust her? The Shadakin guards are drawing near. We have no choice, you reply. We have to trust her. You agree to Tanith's bargain, and she hands over your staff and backpack. So, wizard staff, backpack, 4 meals. There we go. Follow me, she says, opening a door to her right. You both rush through and she closes it behind you, dropping a bar across it to delay your pursuers. You are in a small, sparsely furnished chamber. The citadel is honeycombed with secret passages that went into the hill it stands upon. We will take one of these routes, she says confidently. She walks to the center of the room and takes hold of an iron ring that is attached to a flagstone. She pulls on the ring, lifting the flagstone away to reveal a dark passage below. She takes a torch from the wall and enters the passage. Come now, you will soon be on our heels. You follow without hesitation. The dark passage seems interminably long, and the three of you are panting for breath before you reach its end. The winding tunnels open into a large natural cavern. You rush through the cave mouth and down the steep slope of a hill, stopping only when you reach the bottom. You gasp for breath, your chest heaving and your limbs aching. If you have the amulet of the Shianti priest, we don't, because we let the guy die in the cell. So, no special item. You're standing in a small dell. Ahead lies the sunny river, and beyond the river a forest. Come, says Tanith. There is a bridge nearby. We must cross the bridge to gain the safety of the forest before we can rest. The witch speaks the truth, comments Shan, returning the girl's icy glare contemptuously. Though you have barely rested, you continue onwards, coming at last to a wide road that crosses the sunny river by means of a large ornate bridge. It will not be long before the Shadakin come searching for us, says Tanith. Have you a spell that will destroy this bridge and hinder their pursuit? We can destroy the bridge with the power of elementalism, or create a barrier with the aid of the power of sorcery, or simply conserve our energy, but we still have 21 willpower, so destroying the bridge with the power of the elementalism that helped us so far since the beginning of the game sounds like a good plan, and so far all elementalism tricks cost us only 1 willpower. I think it's quite a cheap way to go about for the rest. You are very tired. Wearily you close your eyes and call on the elementals for their aid. Your chant ends, and at first it seems that you have failed. Then you hear the sound of rushing water. A gigantic wave rises up further along the river. The foaming white crest of the wave towers above the bridge in the shape of an outstretched hand. The watery fingers clench to form an immense fist that smashes onto the bridge, crushing it as though it were made of matchsticks, and drenching the three of you as it washes the bridge downstream. Such power! Tanith exclaims, her eyes shining with childish delight and admiration. The spell has cost you 1 willpower point. Following the road, you enter the forest. This road is busy by day. Oh, it was Shan. This road is busy by day, Shan informs you. Many merchants and traders use it to reach the port of Soon. If we are to ride ourselves and lest, we must lay the load and venture deeper into the forest for safety. The peddler speaks the truth, says Tanith, glaring haughtily at Shan, daring him with her eyes. Shan turns purple with rage. You leave the road, and after traveling a short way through the thickening trees, you discover a small clearing sheltered by a large overhanging acacia tree. You decide to rest here. You are hungry and must eat 1 meal or lose 3 endurance points. Alright, there we go. Oh, and 2 meals, if you have any left, must be given to Tanith and Shan. Yeah, the girl didn't bring any food. That's why they gave us 4 at the beginning, I guess. You have no blankets and dare not start a fire for fear of revealing your hiding place. But fortunately it is warm night. Shan and Tanith insist that you sleep while they take it in turns to keep watch. Riley, you point out that it is the first time that they have agreed about anything. Can take their offer, or simply take the first watch. I think we should take their offer because we are the only one fighting here. And we need more willpower points. I guess we're over there. I'm not sure where we need to go. So let's take their offer. Reserve our strength. Wake the following morning feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep. Restore 1 willpower and 1 endurance point. So, plus 1 willpower. The bridge destroyed was free and the endurance points are already at maximum. Both Tanith and Shan have already risen and are waiting expectantly for you to lead the way. It appears your new companions put great faith in your leadership. A faith that is only slightly shaken when you admit that you have very little idea of where to go. You explain that your quest is to find the lost tribe of Lara, though you do not tell them its origin or true purpose, and suggest that Shan guides you. There is no obligation upon you to remain with me, though. You tell Tanith and Shan, you are free to do as you please. I, for one, have no other place to go, says Tanith. Mother Magri was a cruel mistress, and I will gladly aid any opponent of the rule of the Witch King and his servants. And I too, says Shan. But which way shall we go? We must keep moving, for it is certain that the Shadakin are searching for us. There is a pause while you all consider the problem. Finally, you ask if they have any suggestions. Shan's advice is to journey south to the Azanem, which he believes to be the most likely haunt of the lost tribe, and he offers to guide you there. But if you are wrong, says Tanith, we will have journeyed far and into great danger unnecessarily. We need guidance. 3 days' travel to the north of here lives Jnana, the wise, a hermit sage, he who serves no master. I can take you to him. Azanem, the big jungle here. Three days north, kind of in the hill. If you have the medallion of the Redeemer and the vial of pink liquid, we have absolutely nothing. Or we can take Shan's advice or seek counsel of Jnana the Wise. On one hand, I think that Shan's right, but on the other hand, it's kind of a sketchy dude. So, in Lone Wolf, usually the wise people always give good advice. So, I like the name Jnana the Wise. She'll talk to the hermit, and afterward we could go south anyway, and Shan will have been right. You're right, Tanith, say. We need counsel. But who is this Jnana, and can he be trusted? He has no love of the Shadakin, for, fearing the power of his wisdom, they blinded him many years ago in the ignorant belief that they could prevent his far side by putting out his eyes. He sides with no one. He can be trusted. We must head for the Chansey Hills, which lie to the north of here. Come, follow me. So we're not quite yet in the Chansey Hills. For 3 days you head north towards the Chansey Hills. During this time you regain 3 willpower points and 6 endurance points. And we're at max 4 endurance points. The dense forest provides ample cover for your journey and you manage to avoid the occasional Shadakin patrols quite easily. You carry no provisions, but Tanith is able to feed the whole party. Demonstrating an uncanny mastery over animals, she's able to summon small birds down from the trees and rabbits from their burrows. Then, after calling the mesmerized creatures to her, she coolly wrings their necks. Sure. Considering her part done, she insists that Shan should do the cooking, and a disgruntled Shan agrees. Coming at last to the forest edge, where it borders on the Shensi Hills, you discover clumps of wild lomspur growing along the riverbank. If you have the magical power of alchemy, you may take some of the lomspur and store it in your herb pouch. We don't. Swallowing it will enable you to regain 4 endurance points. If you do not have the power of alchemy and wish to regain 4 endurance points, you must eat the lomspur while it is fresh. You cannot take it with you. But we're full. You find a shallow fjord, crossing the sunny river, and stop to stare at the solemn hills ahead. We must go up into the hills to find the cave of Jnana, says Tanith. Suddenly Shan cries out, "The enemy is upon us! Look, the Nayin are coming!" He points up at the sky. Looking up, you see a cloud of ape-like beasts with grey skins and black, bat-like wings that propel them towards you at great speed. "Do not fear," Tanith says, rushing forward. "But Glistal," says Shan, "these monsters will slave of Shazalak, the Witch King. We are betrayed." The Nayin swoops towards you, flying low along the line of the hills. We can either attack the Nayin, or wait for them to draw closer. Tanith said to wait. I guess we can wait. The Nahin land and encircle you. Their leader steps forward, yammering and pointing to the hills ahead. "They wish to lead us to Janana," says Tanith. "He is their master." "I do not like this, Gleisdal," says Shan. "It is common knowledge that these beasts are used by the Witch King and the forces of Shadaki as spies and messengers. Surely this Ninana is a servant of the enemy. If you wish to follow the Nahin, or we can leave the Chancy Hills simply. Let's go all in. And let's hear Shan braying like a donkey all the way along. The upping, fluttering Nahin led you into the stark, featureless hills. Eventually, you come to a small cave entrance, perched on a narrow ridge overlooking a steep fall to the outlying hills below. An old man sits cross-legged before the cave entrance, staring out across the heights with sightless eyes. Without lifting his head or looking into your direction, he speaks. "Comes, who disturbs the solitude of Janana?" "It is I, Tanith," she says. "I bring Greystar, a great wizard who dares to oppose the evil Witch King. He is in need of counsel." "I seek the lost tribe of Lara," you say, "for I have a quest and need their aid." The old man is silent for a while. "You must go south to the great jungle of the Hazanam. The way is fraught with danger, for you must pass through the great Azagat Gorge and the towers of stone known as the Dragon's Teeth." "Yes, I got Gorge is a vast canyon, and the Dragon's Teeth and the great limestone pinnacles that stand throughout the gorge," explains Shan. "The Azagat Gorge ends at the great cliffs known as the Wall of Asakawa. The Shenhulai falls at Del Centel. Beyond and above the cliffs is the great cloud forest of the Azanam." It is a strange land, full of weird and hostile beasts. Warns Janana, you are unprepared for such a journey. But I will offer you such gifts as I have to aid you. He brings the following items from his cave and motions to you to take your choice. A silver charm. It's a special item that Janana claims will bring good luck. For thanks, I guess. Enough food for 5 meals. We have 3 days to go plus how many more? We're at 6 meals. A broadsword. Useful. Can't use our wizard staff, I guess. Two potions of Flumspur. Plus 3 endurance points each instead of plus 4 though. And a coil of rope. A potion of Flumspur could have been put in the herb pouch, but we don't have them. So we need to sacrifice Flumspur or meal. I guess we will sacrifice meal to take the coil of rope. We saw in book 5 of Lone Wolf that rope is very useful to die. Need to bring that rope. 5 meals. There we go. Remember that your backpack can hold maximum of 8 items. Shan and Tanith are also given food, backpacks, and weapons of their choice. Gratefully, you thank Janana for his aid. Well, thank you, Janana. You possess the magical power of alchemy. We don't. You leave the Shianti Hills far behind and cross the Sunny River once more, following its winding course through the dense forest. Tanith continues to summon small game, a sight which you still find disturbing. Shan leads you through the forest, but this time you encounter no Shadekin patrols. You are not required to exert any magical power and may restore your endurance and willpower points to the value of 1/2 your current totals. Remember that unlike your willpower total, your endurance points total may never exceed the number with which you started your adventure. So there's a note here from Project Aeon staff. The exact nature of this restoration of endurance and willpower is unclear. There is a general consensus that you should multiply your current endurance and willpower scores by 1.5. Seems like what was written. By example, you may add the 1/2 of your current endurance points value to your score, remembering that you may not exceed your starting value, and you may add 1/2 of your current willpower value to your score, respective of whether it exceeds your starting value. Quite generous, which means that now we have 36 willpower. On the afternoon of the 3rd day, you have reached the point where the Azan River joins the Sunni. Shan is a good guide. He has read the trail well, and you have made good progress. A few miles south of here lies the village of Iwo, said Shan. Tell the glade sun load close the Azan River. But we must be on all guard as we approach the bridge. Isn't river here? Moving under cover of the forest edge, Shan leads the way along a worn path. Unexpectedly, he stops, head tilted to one side, listening intently. What is it? Whisper. I heard a shout ahead of us. Listen! In the distance, you can hear angry voices and the ring of steel against steel. Cautiously, you creep forward and peer through the dense undergrowth. 6 armored knights, clad in blue and red robes, are battling with 20 Shadakin warriors. The knights are defending a heavily laden wagon that stands in the middle of a wide stone bridge. Perched on the wagon sits an unarmed man, richly clothed, looking fearfully upon the battle. He and his knights are outnumbered, those skilled swordsmen, as the many Shadakin dead attest. They are hard-pressed and have little chance of holding the bridge. They don't stand a chance, you murmur. But these are no ordinary soldiers, replied Shan. Look at the design on their shield. A mountain crown with 2 stars. They bear the royal helm of Dulanor. These are knights of the White Mountain, warlord of Dulanor, a free kingdom in the far north. If you are to continue your journey south along the Azan River, you will have to somehow pass this battle without the Shadakin seeing you. 2 options. We can go to the aid of the Knights of the White Mountain, or we can try to skirt around the battle and cross the road. If we remember from Book 2 of Lone Wolf, the Knights of the White Mountain are very loyal, kind of lawful, good, pure knights that cannot lie and say anything wrong and defend the poor and etc. So they will be invaluable ally, I think. And we have 34 willpower. I don't know what we can do with that, but it's crazy, so let's use it. You wait in silence, pondering the best course of action. A detachment of 5 Shadakin warriors carrying crossbows comes marching along the road. They halt to load their weapons only a few yards in front of you. If they should use their weapons against the brave knights on the bridge, the knights will have no hope of beating them off. If you possess the magical power of enchantment and wish to use it to aid the beleaguered knights, or if you wish to attack the crossbowmen with your wizard staff at long range, or you can make a surprise attack on the crossbowmen. We do have enchantment, and it sounds like a great plan to enchant at least a part of them, if we can, or all of them, and shoot their friends in the back. You focus your thoughts in meditation, weaving a web of enchantment and attempting to influence the mind of the Shadakin warriors who are fighting on the bridge. Suddenly, the Shadakin officer in command turns and sees the crossbowman. His face contorts in fury. He barks a command and 10 of his warriors turn and charge towards the crossbowmen who look on in amazement. You have created the illusion that the crossbowmen are Knights of the White Mountain, and believing that the enemy are challenging their rear, the Shadakin have turned to attack this new threat. The use of this magical power has cost you 2 willpower points. Well, that works for illusions too, I guess. With a blood-curdling cry, the Shadakin warriors hurl themselves at the line of crossbowmen, who instantly lose the volley of crossbow bolts, killing 5 of their fellow countrymen. The crossbowmen then throw down their weapons and flee along the road with the remainder of their outraged comrades chasing at their heels. 2 options. We can fire the remaining Shadakin warriors on the bridge from the safety of our hiding place, or charge into the fray like a crazy mofo that we are. I never see a wizard, well, Gandalf maybe at one point, unsheathing a sword and charging in the fray. I think we'll stay back with the staff We have enough willpower points anyway. The bolt of force that arcs through the air into the ranks of Shadowkin warriors kills one of them at a cost to you of 2 willpower points. The knights gain ground at their opponent's expense due to the confusion of the Shadowkin. We are now being attacked from the front and rear. The distance over which you are fighting necessitates the use of a great deal of willpower, and you realize that you can only increase your effectiveness by moving closer to the Shadowkin. An attack from the rear at this time will most certainly turn the battle in your favor. With this in mind, you burst out of the undergrowth and charge into battle with a fearsome yell. Shan, puffing and panting behind you, swings his sword feebly. The knights on the bridge give a rousing cheer as you appear, and the Shadowkin are pushed back as their resistance begins to falter. And then you are upon them. You rain blows in all directions, throwing them into disorder and wounding a warrior at the cost of 1 willpower point. There's a note from Project Aeon. If you do not have sufficient willpower points, it's not really a problem, actually. We have enough. Suddenly, you are confronted by the Shadowkin officer. He gives a crazed yell before hurling himself at you. The officer is a formidable opponent, and you cannot safely evade combat without risking being cut down by this fanatic. You must fight him to the death. Since Shan is with you, add 3 points to your combat skill for the duration of this combat. So, Shan is worth a third of ourselves. Shadowkin officer, combat skill 25, endurance 26. The first real fight of the night. Minus 12 combat ratio, that's crazy. Ay. For such a lopsided battle, we need to roll at least 9 for it to be a good roll. And we can die instantly if we roll a 1 or a 2. Really, fighting isn't our forte here. We should evade most fights that we find. Unless it's a mental fight. We need to do 26 endurance points the fastest way possible. And we are barely doing any damage to this guy. I think we should invest nine willpower point in the next attack and hope that we roll a 7 or more. Otherwise, we need 13 willpower points for a 6 or more. But 13 is a bit much. Really a gamble between endurance points and willpower points. If we're lucky and get a 4, we need to invest 7 willpower points for 28 of damage. The 9 sounds safer to me, but it's a great deal of willpower. But the quickest it goes, the better it is. 2 rounds is 18 or 14 willpower down. in 3 rounds is 21 or 27 down. Yeah, we can't really go over 7 willpower and hope for the best. Such a crazy combat. Okay, so there we go. First rolled with 7 willpower point. Started with 31. Oh, that's a nice roll. So the guy is dead and we have no damage. It's 0 against 6. 6 by 7, which means 42. And the officer is dead. 1-shot kill. And it cost us only 7 willpower. Alright, we were really lucky for this fight. Crazy lucky. As the Shadakin officer dies, and there's a note again. You have arrived here from section 156. That's not the case. Okay. As the Shadakin officer dies, the Knights of the White Mountain give a victorious cheer and charge forwards. The Shadakin that remain continue to fight, but eventually falter and retreat into small groups, with their numbers divided into small pockets of resistance. The Knights are quickly able to overcome them, demonstrating their superior fighting skills in one-to-one combat. The Shadakin warriors fight to the last man, and you expend another willpower point before the battle is over. There's a note again. It's the negative willpower. We're fine. We're down to 23 then. As soon as the fighting is over, the unarmed man jumps down from the wagon into the bridge. "My thanks, stranger, a timely arrival indeed," he says, smiling broadly. His name is Madin Rendalim, a Duranese herb warden, famous throughout the last lands of the far north for his knowledge and skill in healing hearts. And that name rings a bell for me. I think we can see him at Port Bax in book number 2, but we didn't during our run. He's journeying through the provinces of the Shadakin Empire, seeking the Druze tree and the clear, sticky resin beneath its bark, the only known cure for the terrible Red Death Plague. I had found the Druze tree growing some distance from here, in the forest of Fernmost, at the foot of the Kashima Mountains. I was returning to port soon, to journey back to my home in Hammerdal, when these ill-mannered Shadakin brutes refused to let us pass. They have closed the roads around soon, it seems, searching for some fugitives or outlaws. As a sign of his gratitude, he offers you the following items. A potion of Rendalim's elixir that restores 6 endurance points, and a food for 5 meals. Pestle and mortar, which is a backpack item that is useless without the alchemist skill anyway. 3 Terama seeds. 1 seed permits the use of magical power or wizard staff without the loss of any willpower points. A sealed pouch of Kalachina mushrooms. The spores of these mushrooms may enhance the illusions of those using the power of enchantment. There's a note about the Terama seeds. Terama seeds may be recorded as special items since they don't take up space in your herb pouch or backpack. Each Terama seed can be used to cast exactly 1 spell, or to use your wizard staff outside of close combat, without using the normally required willpower points. Terama seeds cannot be used to maintain the effect of a spell or in place of other drains on your willpower, like mental attacks. It also seems inappropriate to use a Terama seed in close combat, where you could then decide to expend an infinite amount of willpower to automatically win a fight. So we can take the 3 Terama seeds And the sealed pouch of Calcina mushrooms will probably go in the backpack. Instead of a meal, we can trade the potion of Flom Spur for the Rendalim's elixir. And trade the meal for the Kalachina mushrooms. Sure, I think it will need to be called by the book when we use the Kalachina mushrooms. Sounds good like this. You may take any of these items, carry them, blah blah blah. When you have made your choice, he offers Shan and Tanith a selection of gifts. At last you bid the Herb Warden and his brave bodyguard farewell, requesting that they mention your encounter to no one. Well, that was quite a nice encounter. Really lucky. We're down to 4 meals as well. Go. The way leads south through the farms and paddy fields of the region. The path keeps firmly to the line of the Azan River as it curves towards the Great Azagat Gorge, a great pitted canyon of weathered limestone columns. In order to maintain the secrecy of your presence, you avoid the homesteads that nestle by the river. You walk for 2 long days and must consume 2 meals or lose 6 endurance points. Lone Wolf never eats that much in a journey. The regulated squares of the rice fields become fewer and fewer, and finally give way to a flat expanse of unyielding plains called the Wilder Wastes, which are devoid of human habitation. That night, you make camp on the leeward side of a small outcrop of hills. You fall into an uneasy sleep, in which you are troubled by strange dreams. You wake with a start in the middle of the night, to see Tanith crouch over the dying embers of the campfire, which glows with a dull yellow light. 2 options: we can either investigate or pretend that you are sleeping. I think it would be best to pretend that you are sleeping if we do that correctly, because we'll see if Tanith has an hidden agenda. Tanith is talking quietly, addressing her words to the fire. No, mother, I will not. I cannot. A diminutive figure shivering by the dwindling fire, she is obviously greatly distressed. Perhaps her conscience troubles her. We can investigate, or leave Tanith to the privacy of her own thoughts. I think she talks to the Mother Magri, actually. So we should investigate here, now that we have more information. We get up and walk over to Tanith, who looks up with a startled expression. Crystar, she gasped. I could not resist. I'm sorry. If you have the Chasm Stone. No, it has been destroyed. The campfire bursts into vivid flame, flaring high into the air. Rather in the lurid light is the figure of Mother Magri, who intones the words of a spell in a strange guttural tongue. Great Star, says Tanith, beware! If you possess the power of sorcery and wish to create a magical shield about yourself, Or you can attack the figure of Mother Magri shimmering above the fire. Well, the power of sorcery for a shield is a great plan, I think. Concentrate the power of your thought, and at the cost of 2 willpower points. A shimmering field of energy encircles you. The form of Mother Magri disappears from the earth of the fire, to be replaced by a far more sinister vision. A great shadow of impenetrable darkness appears in the flames of the fire. You see 2 blank eye slits and a gaping mouth as the shadow creature lunges towards you. Acarya! Then it screams, a soul eater! You must fight the Acarya to the death. For every round of combat, subtract 1 willpower point and 2 endurance points from your total. If you have erected a magical shield of sorcery, subtract 1 willpower point and 1 endurance point for every round of combat, as the Acarya tries to claw at your soul. Combat skill 25. Damn. Stuck so much in combat. And we don't have Shan to help us now. Minus 15 combat ratio. That's so crazy. Endurance 30. Okay, it says that we need to stay alive for at least 4 rounds of combat. Or win before that. The good news is that it seems it doesn't sound like that. We lose 1 willpower and 1 endurance on top of everything else. We need to roll just as good as before. The same parameters apply to this fight as the previous one, since we're at minus 11 or less combat ratio. Should go with the same route with 7 willpower point. He has the same endurance, but well, a little more than 4 points more than the previous one, I think. So we shall gamble 7 like last time. First round. 7. Not a bad roll. 5 against 3. Multiplied by 7, which is 21. Now we only need to do 9 damage to the enemy. So we shall invest 3 or 4. 3 it's a 7 or more. 4 is not quite enough for a 6. I think we should gamble a 3 on this one for a 7 or better roll. A 9. Really great roll. So that's 3 against 5. Multiplied by 4, it's dead. 3. It's not by 4, it's by 3. Anyway, dead. We have only 11 willpower left though. And we lost the second round, so we lost 2 endurance points to 25. And we lost 8 in the fight, that means 17. And we won in 2 rounds, so we're fine. The Acarya seems to be growing stronger as it erodes your will, no matter how badly you damage the fabric of the creature. I forgot to reduce my willpower by 2 for the 2 rounds. No matter how badly you damage the fabric of the creature, you cannot alter the phantom's ability to feed on your spirit. Suddenly the creature grows, wrapping its whole body around you, engulfing you in a terrible darkness. You lose 5 willpower points. I know why they gave us 50% before. And 5 endurance points. Still alive. If you're still alive and your willpower score has not fallen to 0 or below, no. If you're still alive and your willpower is above 0. That's what we are at. You are smothered in an all-consuming darkness. Somewhere seemingly far off, a muffled cry reaches your ears. It is Shan. Tanith, you must save him! He cries. Then you hear Tanith's clear and brave voice for the last time. Klaida Tanith Mundi Gudro, chants Tanith, repeating the words over and over. Suddenly the darkness is lifted, and you see Tanith throw herself onto the raging fire. The black shadow of the Acarya flies towards her. As the Acarya engulfs her burning body, she gives one last agonized cry. Grey Star, do not fail! The fire erupts, and in a blinding flash, both Tanith and the Acarya disappear. All that remains is a splash of smoking embers. You swoon and lapse into unconsciousness, where you lie. You wake the following morning, drained and depressed. Your traumatic experience has caused you to lose 1 willpower point during your sleep. We must go on, insists Shan, to make el sacrifice worthwhile. You know he's right, and wearily you get to your feet and pull on your backpack to continue your journey. We will reach the Azagat Gulch this afternoon, if we set a good pace, says Shan. As the sun reaches its zenith, you notice how hot and humid the atmosphere has become. The plains of the wilder wastes are now barren. A dry desert of ugly rocks and boulders stretches before you. You have many more days of traveling ahead of you, and your food supplies are running low. The Azan River begins to narrow as you draw nearer to Lake Shenhu, the source of the river, lying beneath the wall of Zakawa and the Shenhu Falls. Beyond that lies the Azanem, home of the lost tribe of Lara. Shan draws your attention to a wooden shack to the east. It is a strange sight so far from civilization. You can investigate or continue your journey. And we need help. Not many willpower and endurance points left. I think we should investigate. And loot the place if we can. You make your way to the shack. It looks deserted. The door hangs half open, and the windows are overgrown with an innoxious yellow-brown weed called ogosho, indigenous to this area. You hear a rustling sound coming from within. 3 options. We can enter the shack, use the element of surprise and burst in through the door, or send Shen to investigate. He didn't fight last time, so let's go Shen, I guess. We already lost 1 ally, so we need to lose the other one. Shan casts a sheepish glance at you and nervously enters the shack. After a brief pause, he returns with a relieved look on his face. It's alright, he says. The place is deserted. Might have been a rat, I guess. You enter the shack and see dust-laden furniture and a clatter of spades, picks and sieves stacked in one corner. Suddenly, a yellow-spotted lizard scuttles out from under the table and dashes towards you. "It's all right," says Shan. "It's a jailbroken. They're harmless." The frightened lizard scampers past you and out through the door. Shan begins to rummage around while telling you that the former occupants were probably jade prospectors, since the Azan River is said to carry deposits of jade, the precious stone used to make noble pieces. Finds some appetizing smoked meat and shares it equally, offering you enough food for 5 meals. You have space for more meals. A further search reveals nothing else of value, and you leave the shack. You head south across the desolate plain, but after a few minutes, Shan stops, shielding his eyes with his hand as he peers eastwards. "Can you feel it?" he asks. At first, you are not sure what he means, but then you notice that the atmosphere has changed. The wind has started up, and tumbleweeds and pools of fine brown dust eddy in buzzy spirals. Shan points towards the horizon, and you spot a great cloud of dust rolling towards you. "The storm," says Shan. "Looks like a mean one." You wish to head back to the shack and take cover, or we can rather keep moving on towards the S&M. I think we should take over back in the shack. The dust storm continues to rage furiously. It gives no sign of abating. As darkness falls, there seems to be no alternative other than to sleep there for the night, and hope that you will be able to continue your journey in the morning. You are hungry and must eat a meal, the one that we didn't take before, or actually the 3 that we didn't take before. The night passes without incident, and you regain 1 willpower and 2 endurance points. Alright, better than nothing. Following morning, you continue on your way, following the banks of the Azan as it leads through the wilder waste and into the Azagat Gorge. As the river begins to narrow, the once clear waters of the Azan River becomes a murky brown. Close to the banks, there are many shallow inlets where stagnant pools and swamps are overgrown with clumps of rope-like tendrils. These tendrils form the branches of a large plant called the yaku. The tendrils are sensitized vines that snake across the ground towards a pool or into the main river, for the rest of the limestone canyon is arid. At the heart of the yaku plant is a cluster of sharp points, and Shan warns you to keep well clear of these poison barbs. It becomes increasingly hard to remain close to the river's edge without clusters of yaku tendrils blocking your path. 2 options: we can either move further away from the Azan River and the difficult ground, or keep to the river, thus following a direct path to the wall of Azakawa and the cloud forest of the Azanam that lie beyond. Don't really have time-sensitive situation here, so with our low HP, a safer way might be a good plan. We're kind of not really halfway there yet. You head east. Going east is always a good plan. Away from the line of the Azan River and into the Dragon's Teeth. Further from the river, the limestone pinnacles are spaced at closer intervals, and you are forced to weave a zigzagging path between them. Though the ground is free from foliage, your progress is just as difficult as before, since it proves impossible to walk in a straight line for more than 20 paces before a stony column of huge windworm rock blocks your path. After an hour, you become lost in the dense maze of impassive rocks. The afternoon sun beats down mercilessly as it slowly crosses the sky. If you have the power of prophecy and wish to use it, we don't. Otherwise, we can turn left, turn right, or continue straight ahead. She'll turn left when we have the options to go left or right. Turn left and resume your journey. As you win in and out of the pillars, you use the sun to guide you, keeping in a southerly direction. As evening begins to fall, Shan sighs with relief. The columns have become less dense, and far ahead, you can see the Great Wall of Asakawa. It is a huge cliff face, many hundreds of feet high, stretching from east to west as far as the eye can see. Directly ahead of you, at the top of the sheer cliff, you glimpse a huge cascading waterfall, the Shenhu Falls. You move faster, anxious to reach the boundary of the Azanam before nightfall, and to leave this barren land of nightmarish scenery and strange inhabitants. The limestone towers, with their tall, ragged peaks, cast lengthening shadows across the broken floor of the gorge, silhouetted in the orange glow of the evening sun, they honor view with their brooding silence. A strange creaking sound echoes above the muddled rush of the Shenhu Falls. It sounds like an old, rusty door being opened very slowly. It must be the noise of an animal, although it is quite unlike the cry of any beast that you have ever known. You hear the sound again over to your right, and then again ahead of you, as if in answer. A sense of grave danger washes over you, and Shan, infected by your disquiet, has paled with fear. With slow, careful steps, you move forwards. The hairs on the back of your neck prickle, and you have the distinct feeling that many eyes are watching you. Treading lightly and with great caution, you move forward. You look all around, your eyes searching for an enemy lurking in the shadows, waiting to spring out at you from behind a rock or boulder. Shan is trembling visibly now, and moves to draw his sword, but you motion him to stay his hand, lest the sound shall alert some dangerous beast. Till you can see nothing, but the strange croaking call persists, increasing in frequency and echoing all around. If you have the magical power of prophecy, we don't. Suddenly, you look up, and for the first time you notice several squat shapes perched on top of the limestone columns nearby. "Cuckoo!" whispers Shan. "I thought they will meet." The cuckoo stares with unblinking, bulbous eyes. Like giant toads, their mottled green skin is covered with ridges and warts, and their pale throats expand like bubbles as they emit their sonorous croaking call. Three options. We can either try to slip past the cuckoo without disturbing them, attack the cuckoo, or make a run for it. So far, Greystar proved us that he is not stealthy. I think probably should make a run for it. Although maybe I don't believe in the stealth skills of Greystar. Taking Sean's arm, you break into a trot, pulling him after you, though he seems to need little encouragement. Unfortunately, your sudden movement attracts the attention of the cuckoo, and a chorus of loud and rapid croaking fills the evening air. The wall of Asakawa is still many miles away, and you pray that you will be able to outdistance the cuckoo. Even if you should be able to reach the cliff face, you know no way of crossing beyond the wall into the Azanam. With a growing dread, you fear that your run will be in vain. Unless you can find somewhere to hide or think of a swift way of scaling the cliff once you reach it, you will be caught. Despite your doubt, keep running, you have no choice. Evening is full of the sound of the throaty cuckoo call. You both put on a burst of speed, glancing over your shoulders at your pursuers. To your horror, you see that they are no longer on the ground. Instead, they are gliding up into the air. Limbs thrust out to reveal large flaps of membrane that stretch from their forelegs to their back legs to form gigantic wings. "You didn't tell me they could fly!" you shout to Shan. "I didn't know they even existed until an hour ago!" He apologizes, wheezing, already short of breath. "We'll never let them run now!" More cuckoo are leaping from their towers of stone, pushing high into the air with their powerful back legs and then gliding in circles around their columns, drifting with the warm air currents. The first of the creatures climbs, gently rolls to one side and then pulls into a steep dive. The cuckoo hurtles toward you with astonishing speed, a hawk in pursuit of its prey. Two choices: we can try to evade the diving cuckoo, or stand and fight. I don't believe in the stand and fight. With our willpower and endurance points. And I said before that we should evade all the fight that we can with our combat skill of 10. Let's evade like a ninja. As the cuckoo dives towards you, you suddenly change direction, sprinting towards an overhanging rock face that will shield you from an attack. As you dive into the hollow space beneath the overhang, you turn to see the creature screech with horror as the low curve of its high-speed dive brings it on a collision course with the ceiling wall behind. It flaps its wings desperately, climbing at an acute angle and only just gaining enough height to clear a wall. Shan gives a shout of delight. "Quick thinking," he says, laughing through his fear. "Maybe these bull-blade frogs are a bit stupid, eh?" You smile and give him a reassuring nod. Privately, you are not so sure that they are. The cuckoo keep their distance, circling above your heads in lazy spirals. You crouch behind the cover of the large overhanging rock, trying to guess their next move. "Why don't they attack?" asks Shan. "Must have given them a scare. Perhaps they've given up?" "They're surprised, not scared," you replied. "They're planning their next move. While we're holed up in these rocks, they lose the advantage of attacking from the air. We're too enclosed for them." Daylight has almost faded when the cuckoo fly in a line towards you, each one coming as close as it dares before turning away. Soon they are swooping so close that you find it hard to resist the urge to duck. A large rock crashes to the ground by your feet, followed by another. "They've been ranging in on us," you say, judging the distance before hurling rocks at us. Another rock thuds to the ground, dangerously close. "The aim is improving," Shan remarks. You cannot remain where you are any longer. You are sitting targets. You resolve to make a break for it and begin to judge the frequency of the stone-throwing cuckoo. "Now run!" you shout to Shan. You burst out into the open to a cacophony of cuckoo cries. In seconds you realize your mistake. You have played into their hands. Poised on top of the overhanging rock is the largest cuckoo you have ever seen. The huge monster rears up, its yellow eyes glaring with hatred, the poison glistening upon the warts of its slime-encrusted flesh. It leaps and swoops down on you. Two options: stand and fight, or keep running. I think we should keep running here, because we won't be winning a fight, although we're winning fights forever, but with 4 willpower it's a lost cause in my eyes. Shan stands motionless, his body frozen with fear. With one hand he holds his sword shakily aloft, while he covers his eyes with the other, peeping through the gaps between his fingers as the cuckoo rushes towards him, at the cost of 2 willpower points. You punch a flaming hole through one of the cuckoo's wings and it shrieks in pain. The injured beast is knocked awry. It veers sharply to the left and crashes to the ground. Can either finish the cuckoo or make another run for it. Maybe we should finish it off. Since it's severely wounded and all. You charge at the wounded cuckoo, raising your staff and readying yourself to deliver a great sighting blow. The enraged cuckoo leaps at you, and hurriedly you jump to one side, smashing your staff down on the creature's back. It drops to the ground, knocked senseless by your mighty blow. Seizing your chance, you sprint away with Shan in tow. Dodging around the limestone pillars, you enter a sloping defile. It is very steep and requires considerable effort, reducing your climb to a crawl. Finally, you reach the top and pause for breath. The narrow pass opens on to an open plain of sun-baked rock and cragged stone, broken only by sparse lines of gullies and ravines. You turn and look back along the pass. Shan has fallen far behind, having covered less than half the distance of the slope. To your horror and amazement, you see a creature enter the far end of the defile. It is the wounded cuckoo, its body caked with black blood. The creature refuses to die. It creeps along painfully, drawing inexorably nearer to Shan, who seems unaware of the danger below. Two options: we can either shout a warning to Shan, or hurry to his side. I'm sure shouting at him is quite enough. Urgently, you call out to Shan. He looks down and seeing the grotesque creature that is stalking him, he redoubles his efforts. With uncharacteristic speed, he scrambles up the slope, dislodging clouds of dust and gravel with his scurrying feet. As he comes within reach, he clutches at your outstretched hand, and you haul him over the edge. Hey, good job, Shan. Squinting in the dusky light, you see a webbed hand appear over the edge of the defile. Shan gives a groan of disbelief as the wounded cuckoo heaves itself onto the ragged plain. Doggedly, it moves towards you, dragging its tortured body, possessed of an inhuman vitality. You hold Shan to his feet and point to the south. Look, you say, we have nearly reached Lake Shenhu. One last effort now. You pull Shan to his feet and stagger across the plain at a painfully slow pace. Relentlessly, the cuckoo trails behind, slowly gaining on you. With a cry of frustration, you see that your way ahead is blocked by a deep ravine that stretches nearly 6 feet across. The creature is not far behind, and you realize that there is not time enough to circle around the ravine. The wall of Azakawa lies tantalizingly beyond reach. Two options: we can jump across the ravine, or stand and fight the cuckoo. I don't see how we can fight the cuckoo. And jumping the ravine sounds like a random number table. Let's jump. Can't win a fight there. You take a few deep breaths and then run towards the ravine. You hurl yourself off the edge, high into space, and sail over the yawning chasm. With limbs flailing and hands reaching out desperately for the other side, you begin to descend. Pick a number from the random number table. If you have the silver charm of Jinana the Wise, you may add 1 to this figure. If your willpower total is greater than 10, it's not. So we have +1 on the roll. The total must be 7 or more. It's 6. I guess we die. Or not. Suspicious. With a painful jolt, you slam into the lip of the ravine and grab hold of a jutting rock with just one hand. Your grip is slipping. Frantically, you search for a secure handhold. Why this section? Suddenly, the jutting rock falls away and you plunge into the gaping chasm to your death. Your life and your quest end here. So we'll go back to the previous section. There are no choice. We go back to the previous section, number 49. Since it's a random number table, I will go back to the previous section and fight the cuckoo. Standing your ground, you wait as the cuckoo draws near, bracing yourself against attack. It stops a few yards away, regarding you with a baleful expression. Suddenly and without warning, the cuckoo opens its mouth and grabs at Shan with a long proboscis-like tongue that wraps tightly around his arms and chest. Shan screams with fear and revulsion as he is dragged towards the venomous mouth of the cuckoo. You have seconds in which to act. You leap into attack, causing the cuckoo to release the unconscious Shan. Wounded Cuckoo, combat skill 14. You're still not better than a wounded cuckoo. And endurance 18. So a -4 combat ratio. With no more willpower. Damn. At -4, we need to roll at least 6 or 7 for it to be a good roll. We have only 2 willpower points. If we put all the points in the attack, we need to roll a 9 for it to kill the creature. After that, we'll be fighting with our broadsword at 4 combat skill. If we invest only 1 willpower point for 18, it's all or nothing, I guess. And it will be a nothing. So that's 5 against 2. Divided by 2, it's 4. So our combat skill drops down to 4 for the rest of the fight. That means a -10 combat ratio without any willpower. If we roll a 1, we die. And we need to roll 9 or better for it to be a good roll. Three. Ugh. No damage against the creature. 7 against us. Still alive. 8. Oh. Might be good. No, it's not good. We're dead. Yep. So, the other option is simply to jump the ravine and pick the winning number. You reach the other side but stagger and fall, rolling over and over upon the dusty plain. You are shaken and bruised by the fall, lose 2 endurance points. Call encouragingly across to Shan, who stares nervously over the edge of the precipice into the deep crevasse. Come on, Shan, it's easy! Quick now, there's no time to lose! Shan returns your gaze with a doubtful expression on his face. He shakes his head. I can do it, he says weakly.
I'll never make it across.
You persuade him to throw his backpack across to lighten his load, but he still lacks the nerve. If you have a coil rope, it's time to see Shan die at the rope. Carefully, you throw the rope towards Shan, but overwhelmed by his fear, is unable to catch it. You make 3 attempts before Shan grabs hold of it. You watch the injured cuckoo come to a halt a short distance from Shan as the terrified merchant is trying to tie the rope around his waist with fumbling fingers. You wait, your nerves on edge, ready to pull Shan across the ravine once he has secured the rope. Still, the cuckoo comes no closer, and before you can guess the reason, it is too late. Sudden as a whiplash, the cuckoo opens its mouth to reveal a long hollow tongue curled like a proboscis, which lashes at Shan, coiling around his waist and dragging him towards the amphibian monster. Shan clings to the end of the rope for all he is worth. You pull as Shan's ghastly shrieks echo throughout the gorge, but the cuckoo is stronger than you, and the rope is dragged from your friction-burnt hands. Delete the item from your action chart. Don't have a good experience with ropes so far. And not with allies neither. Burdened with grief, you stumble like a blind man, trailing Shan's backpack on the ground behind you like a dog on a leash. Stagger into the deepening shadows and welcome the inky darkness of nightfall. You are now friendless and alone in a barren wasteland. If your current endurance total is less than 10, not. Soon you come to a wide basin below the Shenhu Falls and the Great Wall of Asakawa. You are standing by the banks of Lake Shenhu, and in the eerie darkness it is a strange and disturbing sight. The lake is very wide, the roar from the Shenhu Falls is deafening. The waters fall hundreds of feet before cascading into the swirling currents below. Beyond the area of the waterfall, the lake is strangely still. A riding mist hangs suspended in the air. The mist is strangely luminous and allows you to see the fall yellow water beneath. Around the edge of the lake, the ground is completely bare. You cannot see a single living thing. You empty Shen's backpack and discover the following items. Enough food for 3 meals. A small vial of Flumspur. Plus 2. Not better than what we have. 2 torches. A coil of rope, and a tinderbox. I think we should keep 1 torch, coil of rope, and a tinderbox. So we have another rope, we can lose it again. The mist gives off an acrid, choking vapor that racks your lungs. Coughing, you survey the sheer cliffs, towering ramparts of stone that stretch to the east and west in a vast semicircle. Directly above these cliffs is the Azanam, your final goal. So let's drink a small vial of Flumspur before going ahead. You have the power of prophecy. Nope. You wish to explore the basin and the area around Lake Shenhu, or try to find a way scaling the cliffs. Maybe we're not really ready to scale cliffs again. Not yet. The waters of Lake Shenhu give off a foul stench. The eddy vapors of this strange yellow lake are thick and cloying. Your lungs feel tight and your breathing is labored. You come across the remains of a creature you do not recognize. Its bones have been stripped bare. How, you cannot guess, for there is no sign of life. Your head feels heavy and your vision is blurring. You lose 1 endurance points. Okay. Can continue our exploration of Lake Shenhu. Or climb the slope. I think the vapors are a bad idea, actually. That's why we lost 1 endurance points. So we should climb the slope, I guess. Ending at the foot of the towering cliffs, you look up. The cliffs are smooth and sheer. There seems no way of climbing them. The curling wisp of mist from Lake Shenhu swirl below, and you move across the scree at the base of the Asakawa wall, searching for a way up. Your head feels fuzzy and you lose 1 endurance points. Okay. Suddenly you see a crack in the cliff a few feet above your head. It is a small niche, but it is large enough to hide a man. We need to get out of those falls and the lakes, so I think we should investigate the crack. Clambering inexpertly upwards from the base of the cliff, you reach the small cave. You are exhausted. Your thoughts are becoming confused and it is difficult to think clearly. The stagnant odor of the mist above Lake Shenhu fills your eyes and mouth, and your senses rail against it. Inexplicably, you lose another endurance points and you feel your body weaken. You pull your head above the lip of the cave and peer in. The interior of the tiny cave is rough-hewn and very small. We can crawl into the cave or continue to scale the towering cliff. We better go into the cave and get out of there. Crawl into the shelter of the tiny cave, scarcely large enough to contain you, and immediately notice a small tunnel leading upwards. The ghostly mist of Lake Shenhu lingers on the cave floor. Damn. Dimly lighting the rough-hewn ceiling and walls. You are tired and need to sleep. But we can't sleep here. We'll die, assuredly. So we should enter the tunnel. The tunnel is very narrow and you have to crawl on your hands and knees. It slopes gently upwards, and as you continue, your body is squeezed tighter and tighter between the smooth stone walls. You feel that you must soon suffocate in the claustrophobic darkness. Then finally, and with great relief, you reach the end of the tunnel and pull yourself through, panting and sweating. It is still pitch dark, but you are able to stand, and you sense that you are in some kind of cavern. You have a torch and tinderbox. We do. Or we could rather exert 1 willpower. We don't have many. So it will be torch and tinderbox. In the flaring light, you see a narrow chamber with smooth walls. It looks like neither a natural cavern nor like anything a man might carve. The floor is strewn with dead leaves, twigs, a few scattered bones, and ancient dust. Leading from the cavern is another tunnel, slightly wider than the one you have just come through. A cool breeze is coming from it, freshening the musty air. You are falling asleep on your feet, and throwing caution to the wind. You decide that you will rest here, but the cavern looks as if it has been deserted for a very long time. You extinguish your light and lie down to sleep. You are hungry and must eat a meal, now or lose 3 endurance points. We have only 1 left. Finally, you lie down and quickly fall into a deep sleep. The night passes without incident, and your refreshing rest restores you 1 willpower and 2 endurance points. Then you are awoken by a strange sound. You can hear a scuttling noise, and sound of a heavy object being dragged along the ground. Hurriedly, you jump to your feet. By the pale light that filters through the tunnel, you crawl through. You can see another tunnel leading out of the chamber. The sound is coming from there. You dash to the far wall, pressing your body close to the tunnel entrance. You hope to be able to surprise whoever or whatever is approaching. It is you, however, who is surprised. After a few seconds, a huge insect, at least 3 feet long, and tugging laboriously at the carcass of a dead reptile, clambers into the chamber. Intent on its labor, it does not notice you. Poised to strike. If you are wearing the Yabari ointment, we don't. The insect stops and lifts its head, its antennae wave in the air, searching all around. Suddenly it fixes its many-faceted eyes upon you, and, before you can react, squirts a jet of brown fluid from a hollow horn on the center of its head. You dodge to one side and the fluid misses you, hitting the floor. You look down at where it landed and see that it is eating into the stone. The insect opens its pincer-like jaws and drops the reptile corpse, then it scuttles back the way it came. If you wish to attack the insect with your wizard staff before it escapes, or chase the creature, don't really have any willpower, so let's chase it like an idiot. You follow the creature, but it soon disappears from view. The tunnel curves slowly upwards, and before long you are plunged into darkness once more. You stop running. You have a torch and tinderbox. We do. In the torchlight, you can again see your surroundings. The ceiling of the tunnel is very low, and you are forced to walk with your body bent over uncomfortably. At the end of the tunnel, the exit widens. And standing a little straighter, you continue your way. To your horror, you see another insect, larger than the first, blocking the exit of the tunnel. You have entered a cave mantis nest. The cave mantis live in colonies below ground, burrowing their nest out of stone by dissolving rock with the potent acids stored in their bodies. If you can find your way through this maze, you should be able to reach the surface above the wall of Azakawa and enter the S&M. But first you must deal with the creature that stands rearing before you. It is a soldier mantis, and it is clacking pincers and clawing. Outside four limbs tell you that it does not intend to let you pass. The speed and ferocity of the soldier mantis is astonishing. The creature attacks, cannot evade combat, and must fight his deadly opponent to the death. To her death, I guess. It has only 10 endurance points. And 15 combat skill, so it's only a -5 combat ratio. We won harder fights. So 10 endurance, -5. Should roll. Seven or better for it to be a good roll. I don't think we can expend many willpower on this, so we should go one at a time. A 9. No damage against 8 for the enemy. And 3. 5 against 2 for 10. The creature is dead, and we used only 2 willpower, but also 5 endurance points. You must move quickly now. You enter an unguarded tunnel that lies to the left and break into a run. At length you come to two exits. One slope upwards, the other downwards. We can go up, down, or back. Should go up. That's our goal here, to reach the surface. Panting heavily, you sprint up the steep slope of the tunnel. Glance over your shoulder to see many soldier mantis scurrying towards you. The tunnel opens into a circular chamber. Leading from the chamber are 3 exits, 2 stone corridors, one leading east and one other west, and a narrow tunnel made of earth leading south. You can hear the clack of the insect hordes, pincers echoing along the tunnel. You dare not hesitate now. So let's go east, no hesitation. With fear surging through every nerve, you dart into the east tunnel. The insect horde sweeps towards you, and a soldier mantis, faster than the others, reaches out and claws at your leg, raking a crimson wheel of pain along your calf. With a howl of agony, you stumble and, half diving, half falling, roll along the ground, twisting to face the creature as it rears up before its prey. If you have 2 or more willpower with which to use your wizard staff, we don't. And we die here. Again. Bravely you fight off the soldier mantis, but soon the whole nest is upon you, and in a matter of minutes they have stripped your flesh to the bone. Your life and your quest end tragically here. We don't have the 2 more willpower points, so let's go back and take the southern exit, I guess. At bent low, you hurl yourself into the narrow tunnel. It slopes upwards, becoming narrower as it winds and curls like a snake. Ahead you see a lone worker mantis coming towards you, holding a large leaf in its pincers. Without hesitation, you dive over the cave mantis, scraping your back against the walls and ceiling of the converging tunnels. A gout of acid misses your body by inches as you tumble to the ground onto the other side of the insect. You roll over twice before leaping to your feet once more. Countless numbers of snapping, malicious insects pursue you, but far ahead you see a dim light which fills you with hope. A faint gust of air blows against your cheek, making you certain that this tunnel connects with the surface. You focus on the dim light and force your aching legs to propel you onwards. As you draw nearer the flood of light, you see that the tunnel ends at a blank wall. Your spirits sink. Are you trapped after all? Looking up, you see that the tunnel leads to an almost vertical shaft. The glare of sunlight blinds your eyes. Cursing breathlessly, you jump up and catch hold of a thick plant root protruding from the earth wall of the shaft and begin to climb. The narrow shaft is barely wide enough to let you pass, and the climb is difficult and slow. Halfway up the shaft you cry out. You are stuck in a bottleneck and can no longer move. The first of the enraged soldier mantis enter the shaft, and reaching out with its extended forelegs, it makes a grab for your flailing legs. A slash of burning pain ravages your right leg, as a spurt of acid strips your calf to the bone. You lose 8 endurance points. But let's heal ourselves after the last fight. 9 endurance points actually, and the 2 items that we had, so will be less painful right now. Should have done that after the last fight. With a desperate cry, you squeeze yourself through the gap and pull yourself free. Your leg is numb and hinders your climb. But with a superhuman effort, you reach the top of the shaft. You have reached the surface at last and find yourself in a large clearing, surrounded by towering trees and dense green foliage. Standing in the center of the large clearing, hemmed in on all sides by a giant haze of wood trees and clumps of sprawling undergrowth, you stand and catch your breath. A look around the glade reveals a number of holes in the floor. Entrances, no doubt, similar shafts to the one you have left. In a relentless tide, Hundreds of cave mantis pour out of these holes and stream towards you. Suddenly a pair of weaving antennae appears in the entrance of a shaft close to where you stand. Two options: we can fire a bolt from the wizard staff into the shaft, or dash straight into the undergrowth. You don't have really any willpower there, so it will be a dash. You're forced to a sudden halt, for the way ahead is blocked by a fallen tree. You turn and see a large solar mantis rushing towards you, and you gasp in frenzied desperation. You are trapped. Wounded and bloody, you prepare to deter yet another attack, fear gripping your heart with an icy chill. You grit your teeth against the pain of your wound as the ferocious cave mantis springs towards you, its barbed claws thirsting for your vulnerable flesh. Cave Mantis, Combat Skill 5, Endurance 18. Harder than the previous one. Same combat ratio. No more willpower though. Can evade the combat after one round, however, so we shall do that. Oh, a 10. No damage against 9 to the enemy. But now we have no willpower. We need to fight with the broadsword. It's a -11 combat ratio. We need 2 rounds to win. Just crazy. We shall flee here. You vault onto the dead tree, using your staff for support. Holding yourself to the top, you reach out and grab the thick branch of a giant azawood. Your chest contracts, with pain every time you draw breath, and the humid, fetid air clings to the sides of your throat. Slowly and painfully, you climb the tall tree, while the columns of insects march relentlessly towards you, their pincers gnashing and clacking in crazed fury. Grimly, you ignore the savage pain of your wounded leg. Looking up, you gasp with dismay, for a line of cave mantis has somehow gained the branch above your head. Those behind are nearly upon you, and in desperation you clamber along the nearest branch. The further you crawl along the narrowing tree limb, the greater the swaying of the branch as it bends under your weight. You turn to see a line of insects scurrying along the branch towards you. There is no escape. With one last effort of will, you use all your remaining willpower points in an attempt to clear the branch of the cave mantis. Which means 1 willpower point. A great hooting yell signifies the presence of others in the leaf-green light of the treetops. Some 40 ape-like men with long tails swing bundles of smoking leaves at the end of lengths of vine. The smoke gives off a choking stench that throws the huge insects into confusion. Within a few moments, they have dropped from the branches of the tree or are scurrying back along the trunk, fleeing from the swirling fumes. Through watering eyes, you watch the strange, stunted men using their tails to swing from tree limb to branch with astonishing agility, flushing out the insect invaders with practiced ease. These are the Kundi. You have found the lost tribe of Lara. As you watch the one-sided battle draw to a close, 2 sets of fairy arms grab you and lift you bodily into the air. Your ape-like abductors carry you through the giddy heights, leaping and swinging from tree to tree, tossing you like a bale of hay. You are being carried through a fine mist of cloud, from which the Azawood tree draws much of its moisture. Up here, in the highest levels of the forest, is a complex of wooden houses and platforms. You are dumped unceremoniously outside the largest of these three houses, the house of the Kundi King. The old king regards you with undisguised displeasure. I am Okaza, Kundi King. Why you come, and who are you? Quietly you tell the king of your quest for the Moonstone, of the Shianti, your search for the Shadow Gate, and your need of the magical Kundi vision to guide you there. You know Shianti, you bring creeping death from below. Kundi guide you nowhere, he says, eyeing you suspiciously. No matter how you try, you cannot convince him that you are a Shianti wizard, and that you were trying to escape from the terrible mantis attack, not leading it. He turns his back on you with a derisive snort. I can make great magic, you say hopefully. Ancient magic, the way of the Shianti. Which king make magic? Shadakin make magic. 'Tis prove nothing, the king replies with a dismissive wave of the hand. How then can I prove the truth of my words to you? You ask helplessly. The Kundi king gives you a sly look over his shoulder, eyebrows raised. Prove? He says. Yes, you prove many things, I think. When Urik, wise elder of the Kundi tribe, has words with you, then you see some Kundi magic, not Shadakin spells and whispers. Patiently you wait. Faintly you can hear the jingling of tiny bells and a hoarse voice chanting a monotonous rhythm, tunelessly. At length, a wizened old Kundi is led into the room. He is covered in bird feathers and numerous small bells, and his mad, bulging eyes roll around their sockets. The Kundi king and the old Kundi's escorts look to him with reverence, for he is their shaman, and a respected figure in their society. To your eyes, however, he looks faintly ridiculous, shambling around you in a comic bow-legged dance, waving and rattling a strange fur-covered talisman in your face, and repeating his dissonant litany in an endless monotone. Your own instinctive powers tells you that no magic is being performed here, and you look with interest, curious to see what happens next. Suddenly the mad old Kundi falls silent. He is short of breath, his bony chest wheezing. He bares the blackened stumps of his rotten teeth, and pressing his face close to yours, so close that you can smell the stink of his fetid breath, he speaks to you. You no look like Shianti, he says, looking you up and down with a theatrical gesture. Shianti wizard, you correct, drawing no response. You no feel like Shianti, Rick continues, running his glittery fingertips along the filthy tattered remains of your robe. He wrinkles his nose. You no smell like Shianti, smell more like swamp, he says, exploding into a great fit of hoarse laughter, clapping his hands with glee. You see Shianti, you say? Then asks, his eyes narrowing. You nod your assent. The youngest Kundi child knows the riddle of the Shianti. If you have truly looked upon them, then you will know the answer. The fate of your quest hangs upon the words of a child's nursery rhyme, it seems. Okoza, the Kundi king, agrees to grant you a guide to the Shadow Gate, only if you can answer the old shaman's rhyme. Anxiously, you listen to his words, burning them into your mind. Answer me this, wizard! While Shianti and Kundi man look eye to eye in tree, Shianti man see Kundi man, but what does Kundi see? The solution to the rhyme can be found in part 2 of the Grey Star series, The Forbidden City. Next week, same channel, same time.